doing the same summer school type stuff. So Don will be talking about what he's doing at Sunny Slope, but not Sunny Slope, Hillcrest.
Who?
Sorry, my thing says Logan Bishop. I don't know how to change that.
You might start with some hair.
If you go over to the top of your screen, there should be a blue square with 3 little dots. If you click on that in the right far corner, then you can change your name.
Okay.
So then when Logan joins next time, he can be you.
Yeah. I let him use my computer. That was a bad choice, apparently.
There's a reason I'm Zoe Godfrey in this meeting.
I could change it for you if you'd like.
I'll figure it out.
Tom looks like he's looking over a fence there right now. There you go, Tom.
What's that?
You look like you're looking over a fence.
I see you.
Like Home Improvement, you're the neighbor.
Yeah, there you go. How's everybody doing?
Good. Had a good day.
Becky Larson and Larissa Huskin will not be joining us tonight. But it does appear like we have a quorum.
Gonna do.
Brandon, I can rename you if you want me to. It's up to you.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see you.
Good evening.
Keith, we're at 6 o'clock. Do you want to start the meeting or do you want to wait to see if John and Bailey are going to join us?
I was going to wait just a moment. With the vacant position, instead of having 14 members, we have 13 members. So I think 7 is the quorum. And we have 7, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's just wait a minute, 60 seconds. Did you have anyone call in to be excused?
Rebecca Larson was excused and Larissa called a minute ago and said she ran into a conflict and will not be here.
Okay, that's just helpful to know. Thank you. Well, I guess we can Call the meeting to order. This is the second meeting of the Roseburg Public Schools School District Budget Committee, May 5th. And the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Minutes were mailed out. I hope people had enough time to go over them. They're very extensive and very thorough. Compliments on that. Any discussion of the minutes or questions?
I would move they be approved.
And
I'll
is
second
there-
that.
Okay, motion and second to approve the minutes as mailed. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Second item on the agenda is a review of the additions to the proposed budget we were advised about at the last meeting. And Cheryl, you're going to do that for us?
I am. I'm going to.
And you sent a handout.
We sent a
with our
handout,
packet.
yes. And the first, there we go. Oh, nope, that's not it. Just a moment.
I don't think I saw that one in the packet.
Oh, no, that was in case you guys are ready to approve tonight. That's the resolution.
Yeah, I love your optimism. Look at that.
That's an expensive summer program.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and put that one up first. We're asking for you to add, will the adopted or approved budget would have this in it. Total summer learning. Can you guys see the form on your screen? The resolution, or not the resolution, but the summary, I'm hoping.
No.
It says my screen share.
No, it's the wrong one.
It's the
We
resolution.
just see the resolution. It's the only thing that's up.
Well, look in your packets that sent out, and you'll
You can
see that
just go
there's
to a new share.
$1,866,427 that we are proposing to add to the 250 budget. And there you go. You guys see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yay, finally. All right. So anyway, we're adding in the appropriation functions, the 1,000s instruction, the 2,000s transportation, and the 3,000 community services if we were to take advantage of the child care grant. And these are grants from the state of Oregon, and there is a match that we will be matching with our ESSER funds. And because we're pretty darn excited about the possibilities of what this is going to do for us, we've invited Dawn Schrader from QCrest to talk about it, and Jill Weber from the high school. So I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to ask Dawn, and I'll talk about the other addition for pension obligation bonds later. And I'm going to ask Dawn to go ahead and talk about this summer school. Oh, one thing you should know that we do have summer school. We are having 4 elementary sites, 1 middle school site, and 1 high school site. And so Fir Grove will be with Hillcrest. So Hillcrest is just one of 4 possibilities for our kids in our elementary. We didn't bring them all in. So anyway, Don, take it away.
All right. Yeah. So when they started talking about summer school, I got really excited, and I put together just a draft. It was just thoughts in the back of my mind about what a summer school enrichment program could look like. Just to give you an idea, I'm going to share my screen. And the way I see summer school is a time for kids to come in, have some fun, do some enrichment activities, and let me scroll it down a little bit. And okay, so if we're talking about the summer school that was presented to us, we're from the state of Oregon, and from when Michelle presented this to the administrator, she talked about a program where it's roughly 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock. The kids are in for about an hour or 3 hours and 15 or 20 minutes. But during that time, what I see is just doing some, getting kids caught up in some reading and some math, but also doing a lot of things that are fun. And I took the science focus. So each of the weeks I have down at the bottom of this screen has a theme. So the first screen, the first week, it'd be You Really Matter. And that's a science way of talking about we're all made of matter. And, activities would have to do with, the first one for kinder, and I used to teach science, and I just put these as a placeholder. The teachers, of course, would want to put together their own science package, but why is there air, bubbleology, crazy colors, ice cream, use cream? These are all things that have to do with matter and states of matter. And then I also wanted to make sure that kids were doing something that was lifelong fitness kind of activities. And so having the first 2 weeks, kids are learning tennis, and then they'll learn golf, and then they'll learn pickleball. We even have some other things planned in there. And I want to share and so the way I envision is that we'd have 3 grade bands. We'd have incoming kinders and first graders. Then we would have second and third graders and fourth and fifth graders that are going to be fourth and fifth graders next year. And so having some activities, I don't, as far as, the requirements that we have because of COVID, we can't do a lot of field trips, but we can do some walking types of activities where we go and do some things that way out in the field. But I want to share the brochure with you. And so I'm going to put that, you don't see that yet. Let's see, we're going to go to a new share. And so this is an example draft flyer that would go out. It's the Summer School 2021 Science Arts Academy here at Hillcrest. And we've discussed this with a group, and we talked about having 4 summer schools for the elementary students. And then, of course, one of them at Hillcrest, and that would involve Fir Grove and Hillcrest students. And so we would have some activities for them. But I like this part. I don't know what requirements we'll have for because of COVID, what kind of volunteers, but having something each week. And so I have Hip on Herps. That's a reptile adventure. We bring in snakes and lizards and turtles and let kids experience those. We do hands-on, make it, take it science activities. And then I've already talked to, I've tried to contact the aquarium and what they would allow to drop off and leave at our school so that we can experience, some stuff that has to do with the oceans. Anyway, just making it a fun experience for kids is what the whole goal is. And they're there for 3 hours, and well, from the schedule that I have, about 3.5 hours. And that includes breakfast and lunch, recess time, a lifetime fitness activity, a science activity, and reading and math. So I think it's really exciting, and it gives something the kids can do over the summer. That's about it. I also put together a financial package, but I was way off on that one. I think I had to correct me on that. I'm just used to doing that, but I didn't put enough aside for, payroll costs and that kind of stuff. But so you don't need to see that.
I have a question.
Sure.
So we're having 4 elementary sites. Are they all doing the same, or are they all going to be different?
Well, so from what I understand, and I know Michelle will answer this a lot better than I will. I know Tammy has they're planning on one at Melrose, and she's got a theme and a program that's going to happen over there, but it's similar, reading, math, and enrichment activities.
Yeah, Rod, we'll have, so the 4 sites are going to be Melrose, Hillcrest, Winchester, and Sunny Slope. So Sunny Slope and Green will be combined. Fullerton 4 will be at Melrose, and Eastwood will be at Winchester. Each of them will follow the same schedule, but they will have a little bit of a different theme. So Melrose is going to be focused more on their garden and activities all around their garden. So it'll look a little bit different, but they'll still have enrichment activities, the same focus on reading and math, and just lots of fun for the kiddos to do to help them stay engaged with their peers as well as the school, and help them out with some of that unfinished learning as well from the school year.
Are they required to stay at their home school?
Well, if for transportation, if they want transportation, then it'll be either at their home school, at the homeschool, or for Hugh Crest, it'll be Fir Grove students will have transportation to that school.
But if somebody lives in Green and grandma lives in Winchester, they could go to Winchester.
Absolutely, but it's just for transportation purposes. If we're,
Gotcha.
you got it.
Yep.
And Rod, I'll just mention real quick I mean, part of the design on this has really been, and I think I mentioned this last time, that we don't want to have not my concern, but the thing in my head was we don't want to encourage this robust, fun activity, this enrichment at a high SES school like Melrose, and yet have this remedial experience at a school that struggles. So it's the same schedule. Some of the activities could vary a little bit. It's the same access. And on the transportation side, we're excited to be able to provide transportation with first student, the pickups at their normal stops to these locations. And so they'll have a common experience. And if they want to go outside of that, they're welcome to do it.
Absolutely. And Rod, all of the principals are planning together. So, we're coming together regularly as a team to plan so we can have similar experiences at each of the buildings.
We go off site for any of these activities, tennis or, it's a great idea. I think, that'd be one question. We go off site. Second question is, do we have any preliminary indication of what kind of participation we're going to get yet?
As far as going off site, we'll have to follow the guidance, the RSSL guidance from ODE. As of right now, we cannot do field trips off site, but they haven't released the summer guidance yet. So we're waiting for that information. And
I'm hoping they'll allow us to walk.
Yeah, that's what. And we will be sending it out to families next week to start gathering interests. We know just verbally from families, we have a lot of families that are interested in just when can we sign up? How can we do it to have activities for their kiddos, but we'll have firmer numbers next week.
And Tom, one thing I'd mention here is, the state just made a $250 million investment, actually into 325, but they're going to suck back some of the ESSER funds. So 250. And the truth is with this, because they framed this opportunity and mandated that it is really about enrichment, it would be ironic if they didn't provide a level of flexibility. Otherwise, you just provide all this money, you want an enrichment program and no flexibility. We're awaiting the guidance. Now, this is Salem, so sometimes things are perplexing, but I anticipate when that guidance comes out, we may see more flexibility than we've currently have.
We need a motion to approve these funds to.
No,
I was wondering that, or do we just, with the motion to approve the budget includes them?
the motion to approve the budget will include the increased funding for appropriation.
Charles, do you have a question?
Well, a couple of them. Do we know yet? I mean, are we going to have just 3 classrooms at each of these 4 schools, or if there's 70 pre-K and kindergarten kids that show up at a particular school, are we going to have multiple classes?
Yes, we'll have multiple classes. The reason we combined them together was so we would have enough staff to have a robust program. So the staff from Fir Grove and Hugh Crest will combine together in order to provide the program. So we'll have as many classrooms as we need based on the number of students.
And are kids going to be able to attend part of the program or drop in or drop out? I'm gathered they're not going to be graded on these classes, right?
Correct. They're in 2-week programs. So families can, it's 6 weeks long, but they're in 2-week increments. So families can pick to come just for 1 2-week increment. They can come for 4 weeks or they can come for 6 weeks. It just depends on what works for the family.
And the part of this that involves childcare, did I gather that we're getting a grant that offsets that cost? And how does the childcare fit into the rest of the program? Is that childcare for staff or?
No, it's in order to get the childcare grant, we have to have the K-8 program, the enrichment program. So it would be for students who are attending the elementary schools to the program to extend their day. We're working with the Boys and Girls Club on some possibilities there. We're still in some planning stages on that, but that would be, the childcare is separate from the summer program.
But it would be mainly for the kids from noon until 4 o'clock or something.
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
wonderful. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
In case you guys didn't see Don's input into the chat box, he wrote, "If we build it, they will come." Pretty cool.
Any other questions?
I had one, but I couldn't interrupt great enough to get it in.
Was it covered?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, we're ready for you.
Thank you very much for the privilege of asking a question. I think Charles mentioned that we're not going to give academic credit. Are we going to be doing any type of testing?
As far as, how are you referring to, like a formative assessment just to analyze what skills the students need to cover?
I was thinking old school that if you expose kids to certain data, you would like for them to regurgitate that data in the form of a test to see how well they have grasped it and retained it. If we're not going to test them, what benefit are we going to get for putting them in summer school?
There will be formative assessments that'll be given to the students to see how, what gains they make over that time period. They'll take place in the classrooms. And as far as the giving credit piece, K-8 is not for credit, but at the high school, when Jill shares about what's happening at RHS, that is credit recovery and for credit for our high school students.
You use the word credit recovery. Can I expand that to say that a person who's trying to maybe do some acceleration, that this credit would count towards that?
I'll let Jill cover the high school piece when she talks about RHS.
Thank you.
With the K-8 kids, I'd be
You're
real interested to see in the fall if the kids that took part in this program are better off than kids that spent the summer not getting the enrichment. I think that's where we would look for the effect. So.
Absolutely.
Good comment. Any other questions or comments about the summer school program?
About elementary summer school, because we also have Jill to talk about high school
Right.
summer school.
Excuse me, elementary. And the process will be that these are additions, and when there's action on the budget, these will be included in that action.
Correct.
Okay, got it. All right, are we ready for the high school? Go ahead.
All right, thank you. I'm happy to share. As many of you know, when I talked last time that some of the focus at the high school in the last several years has been around ensuring that freshmen are on track. And the data shows us that if the students in their freshman year on track, they are much, much more likely to graduate. And I'm so proud to say that our school, we've had over the past at least 4 years, we've had 90% of our students ending their freshman year on track. And some of that's because of the work that's done in between and during the summer. So for a few years now, we've had something called a transition program or a bridge program, where we support students who need that extra connection to the high school. So there's a course where it's over 6 weeks that students in 8th grade that are identified by the middle schools that they could use some extra support in this transition are coming into the high school. They earn credit for that course. And so that kind of answers part of Howard's question. We do have some students who are earning credit before they even come to the high school too, over that bridge program, to ensure that they're now going to start even stronger their freshman year. And it's been a very successful program. So we're continuing that next year. We also have had a credit recovery for 9th grade students who have failed either English or math. We find those are the most often courses that students will struggle in 9th grade. And we've offered a proficiency-based summer program where students can come in and will work with teachers, both English and math teachers, to earn a proficiency credit. And we found that very successful as well, that the majority of our students who have not earned credit in those courses will come in the summer. So it's neat to see the small groups, the discussions around the literature, the way that we identify a prescription of where their deficits may be in math and how we support that to happen. And students can quickly gain the skills necessary to earn that credit. We often find that the students know the information or have most of the skills, but they've either not demonstrated it or just have a couple of holes they need to fill. So that program we're going to continue as well. In addition, we do have, we're opening our Apex Learning Lab this summer, where students are going to begin using the new Apex curriculum. And we also have some mentor teachers that are going to support students in that. We know that we've had some students who over the pandemic have not engaged in the same level or struggled from distance. And students now can come in the summer, connect with adults, use our new Apex curriculum, and are able to regain that credit. We also, depending on the students who may, for example, want to be in an honors math class, offer this as a way for them to grow some skills so that they can start in a track that they are interested in starting in. So there's some opportunities with that. But we're also super excited about our enrichment courses that we're offering this summer. So our focus has been on keeping students learning. And as Dawn said, just having them connected to the school, having some fun, but continuing to learn as well. So the enrichment courses that we're offering, we have 22 different enrichment courses that students can take that teachers will be teaching a variety of. So it's everything from, I can list several of them, some art classes that may be piano lessons or a guitar boot camp, or raku, which is some kind of ceramic with some pretty colors in it that students can learn to do. A sewing class, abstract painting, photo and print workshop with butterflies, 3D printing, which is kind of a science and art together, the artistic journaling, podcasting, broadcasting, and digital storytelling, microbiology, women in fitness, advanced weight training. I can go on and on. And what we found is teachers are able to find what they're passionate about and to connect with a 2-week course with students to have them engaged in this. So we're following the same timeline that the elementary is. We have one session from 8 to 10, another one from 10 to 12. Students could do a Apex virtual learning in an 8 to 10 course, and then from 10 to 12 take a sewing or a ceramics course. So this combination of enrichment and credit earning throughout the day. They could take just the credit earning courses and stay there, or they could take just the enrichment courses, but the combination of it is going to keep kids engaged in school, learning, teachers passionate about their subject, and I think having fun together. So it's been very quick for us to pull this together, and the students are anxiously awaiting that they can start enrolling in this, but offering breakfast, offering transportation, offering lunch, offering enrichment courses, and offering credit. And we're anticipating probably at least 200 or more students attending over the summer to engage in these type of activities. So fun stuff. Any questions on that?
So Howard's question was, can they obtain it, not credit recovery, but credit?
So depending on the student, if there is a student who wants to say that they would like to take an honors course and they maybe want to take Algebra 1 over the summer to gain those skills to be able to enter that honors course, yes, we do have some opportunities for students to enrich and gain credit to accelerate. If they're interested in that, we can work with students on that, yes.
Other questions for Jill?
This is a possible future next summer, summer after, you know, obviously we don't know the certainty of the COVID pandemic and that type of thing, but I think it's a great opportunity for our school district to really help kids get enthusiastic about school and catch up and this type of thing.
So we've had summer school, we've had some summer school for credit earning, credit recovery for I think 4 summers now. And it has grown and grown, and we've had over 100 students attend at different times. I do know that next summer we plan to offer similar enrichment courses, and we'll see where the state is after that. But we know that learning doesn't stop in the summer, and to keep kids learning new things, keeps their brain growing, and keeps them connected to school. So I'm hoping that we'll continue this. You guys had so many questions for Dawn.
I'm waiting to see them weigh in on you for you. Any other questions for Jill?
Jill, did you get enough faculty to
Oh, it's amazing.
participate?
I'm so proud of them. You know, it's been a large ask this year. I've had 12 teachers who are doing the credit earning portion of it, and we already had that set up. And then when this money came out, I have well over 25 additional that will be doing this over the summer. So yes, plenty of staff, and they're excited to share their knowledge and skills with the kids.
Great.
You know, I'd also add that across the state, there are many districts who are going to turn this money back to ODE. There's not an interest in summer school in this money, and most of it comes down to staffing. They don't, their staff are just worn out, and it's been a hard year. And I think it says a lot about our leaders who are helping our staff, you know, kind of find a way to get to yes. And I think they feel supported this. So I'm really grateful for the work that's gone into this. Grateful we can serve our kids this way.
Thanks for letting me share.
I think maybe I need to follow that up with some pension obligation bonds, and I'm feeling like I really should have maybe done the agenda in a little different order, but if I might talk about our other budget addition and change at this point, is that acceptable?
Yeah, isn't that the next thing that's on the written agenda?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
please do.
we're also asking to increase our appropriations within the debt service fund. We did hand that out as a handout, but I'll just tell you because it's not that exciting to see on the screen. $1,730,873. That is to service new pension obligation debt for both principal and interest. So if you guys will remember, or we've talked about this before, the district issued pension obligation bonds in 2002 and 2004. We bonded about $35 million. This was sent into PERS and placed in a side account, they call it. To date, the district has saved $15.6 million on that initial pension obligation bond funding. We're projected to save an additional $7.4 million on those earlier bonds for a total projected savings of $23 million because the investment grew greater than the interest than we were paying to our bondholders. Those bonds will have a projected total savings of about $23 million that'll be paid in 2028. But the district is facing a new unfunded actuarial liability of a little more than $30 million. And the school board is moving ahead with a group of other Oregon school districts with plans to issue new pension obligation bonds. The board did set a limit on what they would allow the bonds to be sold at. So they have a cap of 4.5% interest on the sale of those bonds. So if the bonds cannot be sold at an interest rate of 4.5% or less, then the sale for us won't go forward. With a true interest cost of 4.5%, the district is expected to save $10 million over the 20-year amortization of the new $33 million bond issuance. So we'll kind of talk about PERS costs later. And you'll see that our PERS rate for the next biennium will actually go down, which is kind of a weird thing when we're talking about a new UAL. It'll go down due in part to the employer rate collar and some other factors. The new UAL will impact all PERS employers because all school districts, whether they bond or not, have a new UAL. It will show our PERS rate also going down over the next biennium an additional amount. The district will set aside that rate credit due to the new issuance of pension obligation bonds, and we will set aside those extra savings within the debt service fund. This will help offset any validity based on market returns. So when you do the pension obligation bonds, especially at first, you're kind of subject to market returns. There's two quick corrections I'd also like to bring up to you guys. In Fund 404, the beginning fund balance was typed into the 5,300 line and needs to be in fund balance of 5,400. That's on page 33 of your budget document. It's just correcting the line that it was budgeted on. And we also learned that we are adding a 1 FTE woodshop position. So within the Measure 98 funds at the middle school. So we've made that correction in the paper document that will be in the, if you guys approve the budget tonight, it'll be reflected there. Again, it's just a correction and funds were reallocated from within the Measure 98 for the middle schools. You have any questions?
What page was that on?
That was a 263 for the woodshop teacher.
253?
263.
263. Thank you. Questions for Cheryl?
So I thought next I would kind of talk about some of our other changes and general fund revenue discussion. So what our budget document has been built on is a funding level from the state of 9.4 billion for the biennium. Currently, the offer is, or what's on the table being proposed is 9.1 billion for the biennium. We believe strongly, we hope very strongly that it will go up. And so we have built our budget a slightly higher funding level. And I know Jared's working pretty hard at the legislative level to make sure that we get the funding that we need so we don't go backwards. Another big concern for next year is our student enrollments. A lot of kids aren't coming to school right now because of the COVID. And our district is currently down over 300 students, and that could lead to quite a sizable budget hole for us next year. We did just budget for being 100 students down. Pretty confident that with all the stuff you guys have been hearing about us in summer school and all the things we're doing, pretty hopeful that we're going to get those students back. But that's a snapshot of what we have budgeted on. And honestly, we are fortunate enough at this time to have an ending fund balance that will help us. So if we don't get those extra 200 kids back, or the funding from the state does not increase to 9.45 for the biennium, we'll still be able to balance our budget for this next year. So pretty fortunate that we can say that. Other major changes within the general fund, without going page by page, there's not too many of them actually. Including this budget is a 4% cost of living adjustment for all classifications, plus a step increase for those that are eligible. We've also budgeted for a $50 monthly insurance cap increase and a $20 monthly opt-out increase. And then we get to our PERS employer rate. The employer's rate will decrease for the next biennium. Our tier 1, tier 2 employer rate is going to go down from the current 15.32% to 9.65%. A little disappointed that Mr. Markovich isn't here because we always throw these statistics in here for him because he's very interested in it. Our OPSERP employer rate will go down from 9.87%, excuse me, to 6.54%. And just to get you an idea, so you OPSERP employees are those that were hired after August 2003. Those are OPSERP, and those that were hired before are PERS tier 1, tier 2. About 65% of our staff are OPSERP, hired into the PERS system after August of 2003. 27% of our staff are tier 1, tier 2, and 8% of our staff are working retirees. So one thing about working retirees, we now pay PERS employer on our working retirees, but that's part of why our PERS rate is going down. So we pay on one hand, but the PERS rate is going down on the other. We also save the 6% employee pickup because we don't pay that for working retired. So the district does save 6% on all the people drawing PERS that come to work for us. So it is a cost savings to us. One thing that is new in the world of payroll and payroll taxes is something called paid family medical leave insurance, which we now will have to pay for. It's about a $76,000 increase in expenditures. And in case you don't know what paid family medical leave insurance is, I'm going to ask Dennis to log in and kind of give us the brief on that.
All right, so
back in June of 2019, our legislators approved House Bill 2005. This is a Oregon paid family medical leave. It is going to be a dual, similar to workers' comp hourly assessment. So the employer is going to pay a portion and the employee is going to pay a portion. This is not going to start until January 1st of 2022. So in this budget, we're only seeing, so that 76,000 is really only for the months of January to June of 2022. So this will increase. Well, next year will be a full year. This is going to be for employees who earn $1,000 or more in the previous year. It is going to be basically for those employees who need to take medical leave, either for themselves or a family member. There'll be a process for them to apply for that. At this point right now, they're saying that the contribution will be no more than 1%, but it's not yet determined what that rate is going to be. So it's not going to be more than 1%, so it could be something lower. But of that 1%, the employee is going to pay 60% and the employer is going to pay 40% of that 1%. So employees are going to see a new deduction in their paychecks and employers will see an additional payroll cost that we have budgeted for. It is going to run concurrently with FEMLA and OFLA, so it's going to be kind of wrapped around that as well, and give employers, this is all employers, it's not just school districts, so employers with more than 25 employees will have to, so this is across the board, any employer, so this is just not a school district situation. So, any questions on that?
Is it $1,000 or 1,000 hours?
$1,000 in the previous year. If they've earned more than $1,000 in the previous year, then they're eligible.
They still have to be employed, right? Obviously.
They'd have to be employed, yes. And then they have to work. They have to have at least earned more than $1,000 in the previous. I will also tell you, they are still working on the rules and all of this frantically because it does. And I think that's why they gave till January 1 of 2022, because they really are still working on all the definitions and that kind of thing. So that is preliminary. That's based upon the frequently asked questions. There are some flyers out on the Oregon.gov website on the paid family medical leave. In our budget, I shortened that down to be PFMLI. So when you see that in the payroll, and that's going to be object 234 when you're looking at payroll and benefits in the system, in the budget. I also want to mention, so we are going to start paying this. So employees and employers are going to start paying this January 1 of 2022, but employees are not eligible to start taking the leave or utilize those funds until January 1 of 2023. So they've got to build up their fund first before they can start paying out.
And this is to cover the state's costs of managing this program?
Yeah. So the employee and the employer are going to pay into to help manage the costs of this leave. An eligible person can collect up to 12 weeks of benefits and in some circumstances may be able to take 4 or 6 more weeks off, some of which may be paid. So weekly benefits are based on their past earnings, can be the same as their regular full pay. So the flyers are have a lot of more information if you want to look into that. But again, it is all employers across the board.
Okay. Other questions? And this is a new expense that is included in the budget.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. If there's no questions, we may be back.
So another major change within our general fund budget, major change, it's more of a transition and a difference in how we're going to do business, is our Rose Alternative School transition to Roseburg High School. And Jared's going to talk to us a bit about that.
Thank you, Cheryl. For those of you who don't know, we are working and have been working on a successful transition for the students that are currently served at Rose School to transition into RHS for next year. Kudos to Jill and Randall and Michelle, who've been helping shepherd this process. One of the things that we've been looking at really is where are we getting a return on investments, and also as we work in the system, make sure we're working on the system as well. And we really saw in kind of navigating some things structurally that we're working with and aspirationally that we're working with, we saw an opportunity to increase outcomes and also experiences and opportunity for kids in this transition. Although we've had kids served well at Rose School, many students told us that where they had to give up most of what they wanted to do academically to attend a different site. And we felt like there was a win we could have by having these students still have an experience that is individualized for them, where they have the supports they need and also the coursework they need, and that would happen at RHS. So we've been working on this transition really since last year. We've worked with all the families involved. Jill's worked with her staff and with the Rose families as well, as has Randall. And that transition is well underway. Next year, Rose will be used as, we've had the downstairs at Rose Elementary, in case you're interested, has housed the Horizons program, which is a partnership between DHS and the school district and the ESD to support students that were either incarcerated or students at risk served through DHS and the juvenile department. That's been a wild success. That program was funded by DHS, who paid for that program to happen. We're going to run that next year in the 21-22 years downstairs. And then next year in the 21-22 school year, the upstairs will house our virtual teachers. The students will still be coming in to do some mentoring and meeting with staff by design at the K-5 level. So that shift, just so you're aware, has been underway and will, I'm confident, will be a positive for all the families and students involved.
I would like to thank everybody that was involved with that. I think that that's a wonderful thing that happened. Thank you, Rick and Michelle and Jared. And thank, oh shoot, the principal at Rose, Randall. I think that's a really good thing.
Was there a dollar amount that was mentioned?
I did not summarize the entire dollar amount. We did not lay staff off. We've reassigned staff or the positions. Some of the staff will stay at Rose, and provide support to our online school, which Michelle will talk about next, and the teaching staff's positions were reassigned to Roseburg High School. So it's not an increase in expenditure per se. It was just a shifting of where the teaching staff is located at. And some of
Just
the
a reorganization and a movement of funds, but not an increase.
correct.
Okay. Other questions on the Rose to RHS changes?
And then Keith, if it just, I think also to mention is just as there's not been an increase in funds, that's been a reappropriation, I'd also just like to make it known there is not a decrease in funds.
Yeah.
Meaning though that the level of service the kids are going to get has not been decreased. And I think oftentimes people wonder about when you talk about alternative ed and supports for students, was this made with the intention of saving money? And the answer is absolutely not. And so it's really about how to reappropriate that. So I do think it's important for the record to show that there's also not a decrease in dollars that are going there.
That's a good piece to have in the record. Okay. Any other comments or questions about the Rose to RHS? Cheryl, I think we're ready for the next one.
Michelle, happy to see you back. You made it safe and sound from a well-deserved tiny mini vacation. I know that Jared talked a bit about the online school at our last meeting. I just thought it'd be helpful to go into some more depth. The majority of this program, a large majority of this program, will be paid for with ESSER funds in this first year. So there's not there's not an increase in the general fund. Some of the tuition that we may need to pay has been reallocated from the tuition that we paid for Rose students. So, Michelle.
Thank you, Cheryl. Yes, right now it's just the mounds of laundry that come with being gone for a few days. So I just wanted to give you a brief overview of the virtual options that we will have for the 21-22 school year. Jared touched a little bit on our K-5 app option. That will be Roseburg Virtual School, and it will be housed at Rose. The teachers and staff will be housed at Rose, and the students will be virtual, but this will be for our kindergarten through 5th grade students. It will be supported by Roseburg Public Schools teachers. So it's our staff that's supporting our students. There will be an online learning platform that the students will access. This will be different than the virtual option we have this year. The new option offers more flexibility for our families. They will have an option to have social emotional Zooms or check-ins with their teachers, but it'll have more flexibility for the families to complete the lessons with their schedule. This is really beneficial for families that are homeschool families, but are looking for a more structured option to where they have access to teachers and curriculum. So this is a way for us to get some families to come back to our district. And it also, we've been looking at having a virtual option prior to COVID. COVID kind of sped things up a little bit for us, but now we're getting back to our original plan. And with the teachers being housed at Rose, then students can come in for tutoring, for small group instruction, and also for enrichment activities to connect with other students. So we're really excited and looking forward to our K-5 option. The school will be a standalone school. It has an institution ID number with the state of with ODE, and it will have a principal that's supervising. So Danny Jardine is our instructional teaching and learning coordinator. So she'll be splitting her time between being our coordinator and also the principal of the K-5 virtual school. For our 6 through 12 option for our virtual option for our students next year, this is a shift from this year. I know Jared touched on it a little bit in our last meeting when Tom had asked if it was going to look the same with our classroom teachers. having kids in the classroom and teaching virtually, and it will not be that format for next year. The students will be online. It's asynchronous, so they can follow more of their own schedule, but they will be RHS students, Jolene students, and Fremont students. So they will still be enrolled at their home school and have access to after-school activities and can participate in sports, but they will be taking the virtual option. Are there any questions about our virtual options for next year?
I think with that last discussion and your presentation is pretty thorough. Questions by the budget committee members or comments?
Great.
Okay, we're good. Thank you. Back to you, Cheryl.
Really, that is the only scripted or
That's
agenda
it?
that we necessarily had. There's not a lot of changes in the general fund, and there's some exciting changes going on with some other projects. And I think hopefully we've given you guys a pretty good idea of what we're going to do going forward.
Okay. So committee deliberation or committee review, discussion of the proposed budget. I'd open it up for discussion by members on how they would like to proceed. If they'd like to walk through the budget, if they'd like to ask questions about any section of the budget, and then move forward toward an action on the budget.
Well, Keith, if it's about the same as last year, and of course we have a budget with a lot of uncertainties still, but I'm comfortable with moving ahead with the approval of the budget as it's presented.
Let's see if there are any other thoughts from other members. Let's not ask for that motion yet, see if everybody's on the same page, more or less. Is there anyone that would need to take more time going through individual elements of the budget? I don't hear any. Is there anyone that has specific questions about the budget you've had a chance to look over in the presentations we've had at these two meetings? Additional questions just generally about school districts funding? I hear none, Tom. So then you might consider making a motion.
So I would move that we approve the Cheryl. What do we have to? Let's see.
There's one of them.
Okay. Am I muted?
No, you're not
Okay.
muted. You guys.
So I would move to approve the budget committee, the resolution for the property tax rate approval as presented, whereas the budget committee of Douglas County School District number 4, Roseburg, Oregon, established pursuant to ORS 294-.414, met on April 26th and May 5th as directed for the purpose of receiving so on and so forth, and that we approve the required property tax rate in the amount of $4.327 necessary to balance the 2021-22 general fund budget.
I second that motion.
There's a motion and second. Is there and I should have asked at this point, is there any audience participation about the budget? None that I hear. Okay. There's a motion and second on the table for the school board for the approval of the property tax rate, recommendation for adoption of the budget, and completing the process for the upcoming year. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, the motion passes.
Cheryl,
Yes,
Cheryl,
yes.
do the person who moved and second need to come in and sign the document?
It does.
Keith does, not the first and the second. We will make a notation of them on the final copies. It was moved in second by, but we'll just type in the name. So we'll just have Keith come in to sign as chair.
I would rather have Keith be responsible for that money and not me.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. All right. With approval of the budget,
Wait,
they,
do you guys see the other resolution here in your screen? We need to have you budget, approve the appropriations in 108,499,266.04. Do you guys see that on your screen?
guys,
Yeah, I so move. I so move.
I would second that.
motion and second for the approval of the resolution for budget approval. Any discussion? All right, I think we had no audience participation. All right, then, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? And any abstentions? Motion passes.
Okay, thank you.
And that means that there does not need to be a discussion of upcoming budget, additional budget meeting dates or topics.
Yes, when you're done, the meeting can be adjourned.
Okay.
Thanks to all who put this budget together, and Cheryl and your staff, and Jared and the school board, and I really got a great. We did well so far going through all this pandemic, and I'm sure we'll continue to work our way to be successful as we work out of it.
Thank you, Tom. Agree entirely. And the presentation's been really good. I think the whole focus on this budget review has been very positive. And I agree with Tom's comment. Very, very well done. Any other questions? Any other topics of discussion for the budget committee? Well, with that, then we'd accept a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Tom, okay. Is there a second? Did I hear a second to?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. All right. Don't need discussion. All those in favor of the motion, which to adjourn the meeting, say aye, please. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, and no abstaining. All right. Motion's adjourned, or meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Really positive meeting.
Nice job. Thank you.